Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Market Mastery. I'm here with Trader Romps, who is the trading partner that's going to be running the Market Mastery 3 course with me, which is actually starting this week. We're going to have our first webinar on Tuesday, the 5th, and that starts at 7:30 p.m. Australian Daylight Savings Time. So it's Melbourne and Sydney time zone. Make sure you don't get that messed up and log in an hour late. So yeah, welcome, Roms. Thanks for joining us on the video today.
Good to be on. How we going, guys?
Awesome, very good. So today we're just going to be covering off a little bit of BTC, what we're seeing right now, because we had a really nice push overnight, bit of a breakout, and move away from our weekly order block that has been holding us down in resistance for some time. And then we're just going to look at a few altcoins because there's heaps of great altcoin setups at the moment. They're really threatening to push out next week. Of course, as always, Bitcoin can roll over at the start of next week and head back down to 35K, and all those setups get broken and fail. But we're going to cover them off anyway, because if Bitcoin continues to move bullish and this grind up just continues and eventually we get a push to like 45K or something like that, a lot of these altcoins are going to fly. So first off, we're just looking at BTC here. If you've been following me on Twitter and stuff like that, I've been posting this chart a lot actually. And my last BTC long was off. 1 second, I'm just going to turn our long-term VWAP indicator on. And I was posting a lot about looking for bounces off this weekly VWAP through here, and then multiple setups through here over the week. We also had this anchored VWAP from up here, which is almost mirroring it, to be honest, just a little bit higher on the price. So yeah, the accuracy of the weekly VWAP through here was actually very impressive. And I think the last entry that I got was off the double doji reversal down here. And that's played out really nicely. So if you want to check that out, go and check out my Twitter profile, Traded Dax. I think it's Dax TR. And yeah, you can go and have a look at the posts I was putting up one by one of that. But yeah, that is my last entry, and still holding that because for me, this just looks like it's stair stepping higher. And the target that I'm looking for is pretty much 45K. So I don't really see much else resistance through here at the moment. Rumps is going to run over a few things in a second. But it's pretty much like the mid range from this previous range that we had back here. And now we're through the bottom of this weekly order block. I think the next main area to get tagged is probably around this mid range through here, potentially these highs around the 42K area, or 45 to 48 if it just pushes all the way through. Probably the only other thing on my long-term VWAP chart, just going to pull this up and change that to the yearly time frame. Zoom out a little because there are some nice levels through here. So we can see the previous year from 2021, this line through here, that is actually the 2021 VWAP, and it lines up nicely with this deviation above the range high, right? So definitely, potentially, in my opinion, that is most likely target for this move, and probably the rest of this run up into the ETF, the BlackRock ETF release, which is now, it seems to be consensus that it's going to be launching around the 8th of January. So that would sort of make sense. And it's also the 0.618 Fibonacci as well, which got sharp eyes. You can probably see that drawn on my screen at the moment. So if you take it from the high to the low, it's the 0.618, and it lines up with a lot in here. So between 45 and 48 is basically my target at the moment, but we'll see how everything plays out. I'm just going to drag this off the screen. I'm going to quickly look at a few altcoins, and then Romps is going to share a few things that he's seeing at the moment on BTC for some more lower time frame type trades, and sort of medium time frame stuff as well with swings. So looking at FET at the moment, looks pretty good here. That just looks like a bull pennant forming into an ascending triangle now, which is sort of how it ends up playing out. But this is more of a pennant that's already broken out, in my opinion, and it's just waiting to get its final break and close Usually with these, I do look for, the 4 hour, 1 hour close. And then when you get a close above that level, I would consider that out. Some people look and wait for the wicks. You can see that the wick here was actually, got a little bit of a rejection yesterday afternoon, and very nice bounce off this key level through here as well. This is also a bit of an inverse head and shoulders, which we were talking about that the other day. There's a few of those around at the moment, but looking pretty nice. That you're a retest of the neckline here and now pushing up. If this can get a solid breakout of 0.58, then I think it's going to run pretty nicely. Casper is running really well at the moment. Let's just grab that one up. I will do Tau first because I can actually see it. Tau is flying right now. It's already broken out of its flag pattern and rejecting from the first level of resistance. So this is the 0.272. So it might chop around here for a little bit before it tries to make its way to the 0.618, in my opinion. But that's kind of one of the ones that has been leading the way. BitTensor, Tau, I'm pretty sure it's like an AI layer 1 or something like that. And don't know exactly what it is, but definitely has a bit of hype at the moment. It's already had a really big run, and it looks like it's ready to go or continue its next push because it's already broken out. It's already in the middle of pushing. ADA looks really ready to run at the moment, to be honest, but it did just reject its breakout. So let's see. On the 4 hour, it just looks super clean. This might end up having a little bit of a pullback here and then go again, in my opinion. But that looks like it wants to break to the upside. It's like a perfect ascending triangle. Can't say much more about that. Flip was one of the other ones that we've been talking about recently. New coin here. Nice little push. Sometimes it can help just pulling out a bit of a Fibonacci here and seeing if they can break over the 0.618. Excuse that doorbell, guys. If you can break over that 0.618 and push to the upside, we're sort of like flipping that into support at the moment. So potentially that's going to start to run, and I'll be looking for targets at 9.15 and the 2.272 at 11. Okay. Let's go quickly have a look. CAS was one of the ones I wanted to look at. This is looking pretty nice. Bull pennant as well. This is similar to what we were just looking at before on FET AI. And it's just a little bit further behind though, but just needs to clear this last little bit of resistance here at 0.14, and I think it can run. Obviously, it's always going to have like some issues with the highest wick before it finally gets out. So could end up doing something like fetch or something like that, for example, and push from there. But at the moment, that's looking pretty good. Like none of these, in my opinion, aren't going to continue to run unless Bitcoin does have a bit of a breakdown. Okay, so bet we just covered off. RNDR has been looking pretty good as well. Not loving this one as much, but these FET and RNDR seem to run a lot together. So FET breaks out, this will probably just continue to follow up. Sometimes you can catch one of a few minutes or even half an hour or an hour lagging behind. So it's just important to understand how the plays work out when you're in the same sort of area of the market. They're a bit correlated. So yeah, Theta token here, looking pretty good. I've been in long since this one, since you pretty much bought in around 5.8. The market started to flip, and this was just such an obvious entry. This has been a good one, ran really hard previously. And after I saw that spring, got a position in there. And so just letting that run now. Have taken a little bit of profit off, took half off, when we're doing this sort of stuff up here with that massive wick. So yeah, just letting this run for a little bit longer. This sort of feels like it wants to come back and maybe do a retest, right? And then bounce off. If it comes back into the range and it comes down deep into the mid-range and then retest this high here, then that's starting to look like a little bit more like a distribution type play. And then I would probably scale out altogether. And then if it breaks this low here, then 100% I'm getting out of it, okay? Because that would sort of be confirmation of distribution. And then I would want to be out of the trade. if the market does flip a little bit more bearish, but then we end up recovering and it does something like this, that would be a really nice entry getting in at that point there. It's almost the exact same entry as getting in at this point back here when I took the original trade. Okay, it's pretty much the same thing. Sideways range, fake out to the upside, uh, breaks down below the range low, and then reclaims and pushes. Like that is basically, the best entries that you can get, right? So that would be the same thing that I'd be looking for on a setup if that does happen, okay? And, a lot of coins are in sort of these big ranges, bull flags at the moment. It's the same deal. If they break below those bull flags, they are pretty bearish. But if they can break below and then reclaim, then looking good. But to be honest, at the moment, most of them look like they just want to break out, flag, break up again, flag, break up again, and flag, okay? Solana as well. Potentially, you can't rule this out that this is putting in a bit of a range high and it's going to continue and do something like that. But we want to see these highs hold probably this level through here where the closes have been. If that comes back and bounces off it, then we're still looking good. Come back into here, retest the high. Now we can sort of talk about distribution as well, all right? INJ, it's sort of everything's sort of like hovering around the highs at the moment. So it's sort of like these are either going to pull back and continue to range for a while, or potentially we're in distribution from people who bought in down here. But let's see how it ends up playing out over the next couple of days. Obviously, it's the weekend as well, and we still have a little bit of a push into range highs. Probably not going to get massive breakouts over the weekend. So yeah. Then Link is probably the other main one. It's also at range highs. All this takes is Bitcoin breaks above 40K and all of these mark up. Link is all of a sudden at 19 into the 20s. So that is basically what we're looking for. But we need to understand that potentially, a sweep of these range highs does lead to a rotation back towards the range low again. Okay. So that is always a possibility. That's why I don't like to take positions up here, try and buy as close to the range low as possible. And we're going to cover that sort of stuff up when we talk about premium discounting ranges and all that sort of thing. Romps is going to go really deep into that when we're going through the course. But hopefully that stuff sort of makes a little bit more sense. Rose is a little bit more advanced because it's had its range through here and has already broken out and had a bit of a markup. It's sort of just flagging out again at the moment, getting ready to push. So we can see it broke out and pushed all the way to the 0.272 target, which is target 1 after you break out of the Fibonacci. Target 2 is 0.618. So if you don't understand Fibonacci targets and how to measure it and everything like that, make sure you join us for the course because Fibonacci is one of the topics that I'm going to be going through and explaining how this works. And you've already seen a couple of charts I've already shown that have pushed and broken out and tagged that 272 already. That's just target 1. Most of these will probably try and continue on and tag target 2. Alluvium still looking pretty nice. It just looks like it wants to continue to do the stair step, grind up, push, grind up, push. It is sort of getting up to a pretty key level here, though, on the daily time frame. I think that's the highest close before we entered. So it's your preliminary support area before we come into the selling climax. But this easily could still manage, have another rally up to 155 or something. And if it can break out through 155, then I think it can push all the way to 260 up to 300, okay? And then Matic is probably the last altcoin that I want to show. Looks like a large inverse head and shoulders setting up. I'll probably get more excited about this when we break through pretty much 90, 92, 95 cents. Let's just say 95 to be safe, which would be the top of this rally here. So there's a bit of a daily order block there. Clear that. And I think it's probably off to the races for Matic, to be honest. So yeah, those are the main altcoins that I'm looking at the moment. So yeah, guys, if you want to learn more about charting, analysis, TA and everything like that, make sure you join us for Market Mastery 3. I'm going to pass the ball across to Romps now, and you guys can see some of his finest work. But yeah, we're going to be starting the first webinar on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. So yeah, you can jump onto our website, marketmastery.io, if you want to learn more about that. So take it away, Romps.
Thanks, mate. Pretty much covered everything, mate. I'm just going to keep it simple. done well covering all those altcoins and whatnot. So basically just got a fresh chart here open on Biddy. And I'm going to show you basically, we drop down a time frame at the moment. We can sort of just see what the price action's been doing. And as you can see, we've just basically just been flagging up this entire time. Even on the daily, you can just see that sort of, we've seen it time and time again where, we continue to have like the bears just keep trying to push this thing down. They can't keep it down. And sure enough, we just keep grinding up and up and up. And surely, yeah, we could probably pop up the top and keep going to those targets of 45 to 48. What I actually, a bit of high time frame analysis that I was doing is using the monthly wicks on order blocks. So we had this order block here where a lot of bulls, when price was at this point, tried to push up into the high. A lot of them have been trapped since 2022, and we're rolling back up to them at the moment. So there's going to be a lot of people out there. They'll look at the sentiment, and there'll be a lot of them who go, "No, I'm holding on to this. I've held this long." So especially when we get up into this area here and we're so close to the highs, it's probably not going to act as a really strong resistance on that psychological base level. But nonetheless, there's people who are going to go heavy short because they're going to see that there's going to be a lot of people who will want to get out, or they want to sort of close some of their positions in this candle here. And because of that, we're going to have this extra liquidity here where larger players will be able to take advantage of pulling the market back down. So I've marked out this monthly order block in the low here. And if I drop down a time frame to the weekly, and we're using one of our indicators, which is Slimmy's made for us, which is just simple OB. So it just takes the work out of working out what's an OB worthwhile and what's not worthwhile actually looking at. Um, so so what we're doing is here we've got the weekly order block, and so here we've got the weekly order block, and it's basically nested inside the monthly. And if we look at the daily order block inside here, we'll see that we had three levels of higher time frames. So we had the monthly, the weekly, and the same as what happened with that monthly before, we've got that up close candle before we've dumped down. No one's got to mitigate. So I'm just going to mark this one on here, and I'll use the body because it is a large area of the body. If it's a smaller body, I will use the wicks as well. But because it is most of the volume happened with inside the candle, I'm just going to completely ignore those wicks. And we do look back across, something quite interesting has happened here. So as you can see, every single time that we've come up to mitigate into this block, it's just kick back, kick back, kick back. But instead of having a big sell-off and taking out all the liquidity of all these wicks, it's just continually been bought up. So this in itself shows just how much the bulls are in control at the moment, how much the bears just keep getting wrecked, and we're pretty much pressing into the top of that order block now. Something else when I jump back to the monthly, we do have a bit of an overlap where we generally do like to take the bodies of an order block, more as heavily weighted that something's going to happen less than inside the wicks. And if we do overlap this order block over here from in 2021, where they've pushed up, we've got this pattern that's come through. I'll just get my pen tool on. So we have this pattern, which is basically where we've come up, taken the high out, taken a low, and we put this pattern in here where we had everyone who had gone short, got taken out. Then when we dropped below, we basically had a breaker block that's gone through here. So I'll just clean that up for a second. You can see, what are these? What we can see is if we take that order block there and we take the order block as well from this higher order block, we just use these two blocks through here where a lot of volumes happen, a lot of sort of wicks have been transferring and changing over from there. We can see that price will highly likely come up to that 45K area there. We've also got a fair value gap, which will cover smart money concepts. We have a fair value gap up here around that 47 mark as well if we do decide to come up and take out that high there. So we'll just come back down. We can sort of have a little bit more of a look and see sort of what's involved in those areas there. So we know that we're in that monthly. We've got that block over there as well. And we can also see in that area up there as well, in that high, we have another order block. So we can sort of just start stacking these order blocks on top of each other, and we can get a bit of an idea where that sort of resistance is. There's another little order block in here as well. So, around that mid-range area. So there's a high chance that we'll sort of come up into that FVG there. And then we could end up with something along the lines of a little bit of a Let's get this pen tool on again, where it's gone. So we could end up building a little bit of a range through here, swiping the high, and then actually coming back down from there and putting in a bit of a range from there, and potentially could come back down and sort of test this low down through here, push back up, and head onto all-time high. So it's sort of that 45 to 48K area that I would be sort of looking at now with the sort of the grind up price action we've had that we should be able to push up and through. We'll just remove these drawings. Something else we can look at starting at the yearly is we also do know that we've got the long-term VWAPs. So we have this, we're still at this high, which we've pretty much moved away from now. However, it's still on the ball that we could come back down to that 30, 31K and have that similar price action we've talked about time and time again, where we've curled back over, get a retest and run. But obviously with the ETF news and that sort of thing, we also have this, from the year 2021, we also have the value area low, which wins. So I'm more leaning towards we basically skip over this one here and we actually come and get a retest of that level. But yeah, we have the VWAP as well that Dax mentioned as well around that 40, 45, 46K area. And then, yeah, basically build, as I said, we can build a little bit of a range under there, sweep this high into that order block as well. It's a higher time frame FVG. And then potentially we could roll back down. But it really all depends on, the timing when we come in the new year. We've got the halvening, we've got the ETF news. It very, very easily could just shoot straight up from here. So yeah, that's something else we're going to do as well is, there are a few levels we can look at on the yearly. We can drop down as well and just have a quick look to see from like the quarterly levels if there's anything important as well. So we sort of have this, something else that you'll learn is when you have an empty area of, so a quarterly value low and then the quarterly value high and the quarterly VWAP in the middle. So when we have these areas and they've had basically no price action retest inside them, this top area through here is going to be very heavy resistance. And that comes in around that 52K. So I would expect that, we're getting to the range high, we're getting into a deep premium array in there. So I would expect, potentially a push up and wick into that. And that's where we could start seeing, a little bit of a rollover back down into this area, a little bit of a chop around before we have our final kick to all-time high. So yeah, basically, yeah, that's basically my quick look at sort of what's going on.
Very, very nice. Sounds good, brother. So yeah, guys, if you want to learn more from us, make sure you jump onto the Market Mastery website. I will leave a link in the comment section below, and you can just go straight to the website and purchase the course if you want to join us for the webinar series. It's going to be 2 webinars per week. For the next 9 weeks in a row. We're going to take a little bit of a break over Christmas and New Year's because everyone has family commitments, but then it's going to be straight back into it after that. And if there is crazy market action happening over that period, which it definitely could be leading into the ETF, we will definitely jump on and, just run like a live webinar because, me and Chris are always on the computers trading anyway. And if the action's hot, even though it's summer holidays in Australia, we'll be definitely in the thick of it. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. Really, really excited. I reckon this is going to be by far the best course that we've ever put together. And having Chris here is an absolute gun, which is just sure is going to take it to a whole new level. So make sure you join us for the course if you want to level up your trading game and take advantage of the next bull run, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. We'll see you all on next episode.
Cheers, guys. See ya.